gentlemen in the room, please do your best to be fully present. Please stay with us, stay engaged. Zoomies, I know you've been waiting for us, so I don't have to say anything to you guys. All right, so the next speaker to come up and set the tone for the rest of the afternoon is nothing but a legend. We've already heard from him not once, but twice in the last 2 days. We're going to hear from him again. I'm not going to shower the compliments and accolades because everyone knows how awesome he is, and he knows how awesome he is. So that being said, oh, he's shaking his head. No, never mind. You know what, Nate? He is just joking. He is just awesome. He's going to bring it. He's going to bring value. He's going to bring definitely clarity because he's been bringing a lot of that for me. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm and loud welcome from Mr.
Fun, man. How was that? Was that pretty awesome? Burying the hatchet? That was pretty cool, right? Yeah, a little lunch break. All right. Here's the thing. I was planning a good talk today with some notes and everything like that. I want to show you guys my notes. That's my note. So we're just going to go with it, right? All right. So some cool things to talk about. We're going to get into it a little bit. I want you guys to understand too, like we talked yesterday, you heard my story, you heard the journey of me getting into business. And one thing I think all of us in the room know that like my journey in business did not go like a steady incline to the word success or wealth or fulfillment or whatever it is that we want to say, right? It was a roller coaster ride full of dips, turns, twists, all that kind of stuff, just like the rest of us, right? But there was something I talked about yesterday with my first business, right? I told you guys I tried to be the cheapest. And what's super interesting about that is that when you look at the way that we talk about building businesses and leaning on community and relationships, if I came to you guys and said, hey, tell all your friends about my roofing company, we're the cheapest, how many of your friends would you tell? Right? That's not the model that you can leverage relationships with. You can't, right? Because what is going to be told is going to be, hey, yeah, they were the cheapest, but you know, I wouldn't, right? Because the model doesn't support that, right? When I was coming up in selling, I read a book, and the name of the book is called The 10 Steps to High Definition Selling. It is not a very popular sales book, okay? Mainly aimed at home improvement services, but it had a line in it that changed my perspective and my model for business forever. And it said that if you are not selling for the company that is the very best in the industry at what it is you're selling, then quit and go and work for the company that is. And that little bit of a perspective shift changed everything for me, right? Because how would that be if I was in a selling situation and I'm trying to convince the person on the other side of this conversation to go with me, knowing that somebody else can serve them better? Is there anything ethical about that? Right? Because the ethical conclusion would be that I'd have to point them in the direction of the person that's going to serve them the best, which, by the way, I had to do that on my way to becoming the best. See, that's one of the first things that I had to, the pill that I had to swallow was like, okay, if I cannot stand before you and tell you that I am the best at what I'm doing, then I need to clearly identify what it is that I need to accomplish and the steps that I need to go through to position myself as the best in this industry. That's my journey. That's my highest priority journey right now. Because until then, I can't stand you. We talked about raising the ceiling, raising the floor. Faber talked about making sure that the floor that you step on is made of concrete, something you know is going to hold you up, right? I need to know that. I need to know that I'm the best at what I do in order to do this, right? And then and only then can you stand on it with that much confidence, right? It's not even about confidence. It's absolute conviction. The conversation changes. The responsibility changes, right? The responsibility to articulate your value proposition or brand and market your message and get it out to the people that need to hear it becomes even greater when you're the best, because you have to save them from the outcome that is possible or probable for your industry if they go with somebody else. right? So if that's the case, could you then leverage community and relationships? Could you then use the people around you and the community around you to advocate for you comfortably and confidently? Absolutely. You could tell everybody. Wouldn't matter if it's family or friend or enemy, right? Like, I might tell, no, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say, I might tell my enemy to use the cheapest guy, but I'm going to be able to stand on the ground of, if I tell somebody about my business, I know that I'm doing them a favor and that whoever they share this with is going to be served. Okay. So when we built Brightside, I said, okay, we're going to be the highest priced roofing company in this area. Right. And I told you yesterday, I reverse engineered that. Where can we bring far more value than anybody else in the industry so that when they look at my value, my offer compared to the cheap guy, right? Why is mine going to make so much damn sense that they can't help but say yes? Right. And that's exactly what we did. And then we went out to market. So I said, all right, this time around, another one of the books mentioned the Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Anybody been a member of the Chamber of Commerce in their area? Okay, cool. This is a great way to find a community. It really is. Some chambers are better than others, but none of them are going to do the work for you. So it requires effort and energy. Okay. So we went out to the local chambers and started attending the mixers. But guess what? I had read all these books on sales and nobody taught me how to go out and build meaningful relationships. They told me to do that, but nobody gave me a roadmap. That's why I love what Chaz Wilson does with Master Networks. He has the bond method that Ashley talked about. The bond method is build on common interest, occupations exploration, needs discovery, and the develop opportunities. And what we found after being Master Networks members for so long, most of the time when you develop that opportunity, it's actually connecting them to somebody that's going to serve them, right? Because how often, right? Especially, how many people do we think we got in the room right now? Like 22-ish, something like that, 25? What is the chance, right? And think about this. I'll put you in my seat. Okay. You're a roofing contractor. You walk into a room of 25 people at your local chamber event. What's the likelihood that somebody in the room needs a roof right now? He thinks it's pretty high. I agree, but they probably don't know that. You know what I mean? So you walk into a room of 25 people. How many people in the room know they need a roof? There we go. All right. So you walk into this room, right? The chance that somebody in the room is going to need a roof is low. But the chance that somebody in the room knows somebody that needs a roof is high. So why am I trying to sell the people in the room? I need to earn the trust of the people in the room. I need to build relationships with the people in the room so that I can create raving fans, as was mentioned yesterday by Dr. McClellan, right? I need to build raving fans, people that know that through the confidence that I'm delivering and communicating and the clarity, right? The clarity, because let me tell you something. If you go out with this marketing strategy and somebody asks you what you do and you say, I do a little bit of everything, guess what you won't be doing? Anything, right? So this is why what they were trying, and again, there's so many layers to this conversation, but I'm going to skip over the foundational part of the clarity part of this. If you are not crystal clear about what it is and who you are or who you serve, don't waste your time with this because you're just going to confuse people. Yes. So you go out there and you speak clearly. You are able to communicate to people what it is you do and who you can serve. You can create advocates for your brand, ambassadors for your brand, people that are going to go out there and spread the word of Brightside Roofing or High Ground Solutions or whatever it might be, right? So Chamber of Commerce was my first start on this, and I didn't do it well, but it's okay. I did it well enough to get introduced to somebody who brought me to Master Networks. Now, it might not be Master Networks for you. It might be another networking group. It might be something else. But my point is this is where the relationships are built that we all know we need to go out and find. Okay. Through these relationships, Javier, my friend in Kent County, name another, and I hesitate to say this to you because I know you've done some research on some other roofers while you were making sure my website stood out amongst everybody else's. But do you know any other roofer in Kent County that has a household name like Brightsides? Not in Kent County. in Newcastle County and Sussex. Yeah. Right. And it's in Kent County. Yes. Because we leveraged the people around us. We leveraged relationships and we built meaningful relationships. Okay. So the Chamber of Commerce was one, Master Networks was another. This is a way for you guys to do the same thing. But again, identify where your people are, build meaningful relationships, actually connect with them. Don't try to sell them. Right. This is the thing that's so interesting. I watch so many people go out and they're playing the wrong game. Reach the people that will reach your people. It's so simple. It's so simple, right? So that's what we did with Brightside. Brightside, I'm telling you guys, in no time at all, we paired this idea of building true meaningful relationships with being the best in our industry, and it was the most powerful thing we could have done. It was so easy for people to recommend us, and the more people that we served, the more people recommended us. And we grew a very successful business. We just recently bought our building in Dover and I'm very proud of my team. Some of them have been on and off. I don't know if they're on there right now, but I mean, my building's being remodeled. I started mentioning some of this yesterday, like things are being sold, things are being installed while I'm here chilling with you guys. Not only is that happening, our building's being renovated, and some of our team members are the ones that are doing the renovations on that. It's all happening. Like, that's the community that we have, and that's the company that we have right now. When we talk about the way that you can go out and reach the like-minded individuals, right? So boom, one of the things that we wanted to do when we first got going with Brightside was we wanted to do something for our community, right? And listen, I'm all for giving back, but the last thing I want to do is give somebody a roof and they go out and pay cash for a Mercedes the next day. And I'm like, bro, like I want to serve people that needs to be served. I want to help somebody that is truly in need. I didn't want to be taken advantage of is what I'm saying. Okay. So I partnered with a nonprofit called Habitat for Humanity. Most of you guys probably are familiar with it. And we started donating roofs. We started donating 4 roofs per year. That started in 2014. We haven't stopped since. Okay. Over 36 full roof replacement or full roof installs donated at no cost to Habitat for Humanity. I joined the board for Habitat for Humanity. And I want to tell you guys what came from that, right? There are nonprofits everywhere that are looking for people that get involved to help them. What does that put you around? It puts you around other people with a contribution mindset, right? We're always wondering, like, how can we get around other like-minded individuals? They're out there, right? Here's a way to get around people that want to give back to the community too. Want to serve people in the same way that you want to serve. Nonprofit committees, boards is a phenomenal space for you to go out and create these relationships and build a community, right? There's all kinds of opportunities. Obviously, I'm going to preach Unleash You Now, but I want you guys to understand that there's other ways too. There's other ways too. I'm going to preach Master Networks. I'm going to preach Unleash You Now. But there's other ways to build community. It's just important that we build that, okay? So in 2016, I wanted to do something for my team. I was like, we're going to build a softball team, right? And by the way, the name of my softball team was the Sons of Pitches. How freaking good is that? How good is that? It was pretty cool because, like, the logo from the Sons of Anarchy, right? It's like that, the Grim Reaper. It's got like the sickle and like the anarchy ball. We ripped that whole thing, turned this into a softball bat and this into a softball. That was our logo on the front of it was epic times. But Brightside at the time, we didn't have enough team members to, fill out a roster. So I reached out to my community, Master Networks. I reached out to some of the other community members and I said, hey guys, we're building this team, right? And on walks this guy onto the softball practice field, right? Field, court, whatever. He walks on and this dude, like, right away is as loud as can be. Definitely more loud than James. Okay. And he's this guy, very obnoxious, just arrogant, just loud. And I was like, man, there's no way I can spend a whole season on a team with this guy, right? There's just no way. So I'm pretty confident that I'm like, that was a no, sir. Thank you for coming out. But it turns out after, a little while of talking to him, he was very bad at first impressions, but he had a heart of gold. He really did. And me and him ended up talking. We actually ended up becoming really good friends. This guy who became a very strong advocate for Brightside Roofing. And by the way, he had 83 rental properties which again, I didn't know that at the time, but I went heart first into the conversations, and I've probably re-roofed half of those properties at this point. Okay. But that's not even the point. That's not even the point. Check out what happened. Okay. I become friends with this guy. This guy's into real estate heavily, and he's talking to me about investing in real estate, which was a goal of mine. It was something I was going to do one day, right? That was one of those goals I put on someday I'll, right? Brian Tracy talks about someday I'll, right? Someday I'll lose weight. Someday I'll go out and do this. Someday I'll. But anyway, he started talking to me about the practical steps to get involved with real estate investing. And I was like, all right, that does sound cool. And then one day he comes to me, he's like, hey, I have this property. I bought it, sold it. They went into foreclosure. I just bought it back from the bank, and I want to sell it to you. I was like, I don't really have the money for that right now. He's like, I'm going to sell it to you for $50,000. I was like, all right, I'm listening. He's like, I only need $5,000 from you. I'm going to finance the other $45,000 myself. You make me payments monthly, and I'll answer every question about the remodel and how to get this thing moved as quickly as possible for you. And I was like, no. I still said no. How the hell did I muster a no after that? He put it on a silver platter for me. Later, thank goodness, I changed my mind. And I called him back and I said, hey, is that offer still available? He said, yes, right? So bought the property for $45,000 or $50,000, put $5,000 down, rented it for 3 years, and sold it in 2020 for $225,000 after putting 30 grand into it. Pretty good move, right? That guy, I have bought and sold dozens of properties from him, and or he's funded jobs that I found on my own, houses, homes, deals, and stuff like that I found on my own. He connected me to funding and helped me get through the process, right? I'm not done yet. He introduces me to a guy who does commercial real estate, to which after this experience, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go have lunch with this guy. Of course I am. And I go to have a lunch with the commercial real estate investor. So I'm like, okay, this guy is going to get me to the next level. But it was interesting. You go into these conversations sometimes with the intention of commercial real estate. And then I find out that this guy actually, by crazy twist of fate, actually owns the region of the Master Networks company that I've been a part of for 3 years. What? I didn't even know this guy, which also tells me what? He wasn't very involved, right? So when he says to me at the end of the lunch, you should buy Master Networks from me, I was like, well, I'm already more involved than you are. So I still said no. I don't know. I'm hard-headed, man. Thank goodness he was up for the conversation when I called him back. We're stubborn, aren't we, sometimes? These opportunities could be right in front of us. So anyway, I end up buying Master Networks, the Delaware and Maryland region of Master Networks, from this guy. Guys, all those roofs, all those homes, real estate transactions, and now I just bought another business through somebody he introduced me to. What in the world? And not only that, my wife, who's probably not still on the call, but my wife at that time, who had been helping me build Brightside forever, had been watching this real estate stuff and very involved, by the way, so she wasn't just watching, very, very involved in the real estate buying and selling stuff that we were doing. We still had to use a realtor every time we went to sell a property, right? So she started picking his brain and decided to go get her real estate license too. And then my wife turned that into a whole damn career that she has, just going and selling houses for friends, family, people that she meets, and the referrals that come from that. One person, guys, right? It's crazy. We all have examples like this. We all have examples like this, maybe not to that degree, or maybe way bigger degree. And yet we're still not being super intentional about going out and building new relationships. Even though we know that those things are going to change our lives forever. Chaz Wilson says it all the time. You're only one relationship away from changing your life forever. At any time. It's not like you go out and you meet one of those guys and you're like, I've met the guy. No. It keeps happening. There's another one somewhere, and you have to be doing the things to put yourself in a position to meet these people, right? If you're just hanging out at home or in your office, probably not going to happen. So you have to be super intentional. You have to be super intentional. A lot of things have changed my perspective on business, right? Clarity, the branding, the marketing, everything that we're doing is definitely continuing to help me spread the good word of Brightside Roofing in our area. Okay. And we're continuing to grow and do more business, but nothing will ever beat relationships. Remember before lunch, and I stood up here next to Michael, and I said, most people in a sales training capacity could just walk on stage and be like, go build relationships. Because most of the time that will do it. Now, if you pair that with what I call the moral obligation is when you have established yourself as the best in your industry, you have a moral obligation to convert your prospective clients and prospective customers into contracted clients. Not because of all the things that we're constantly convincing ourselves are the benefits of our business, right? Because if you think about that, if you just sit here and I say, hey, what makes your business so great, Martha? Or I say, Javi, what makes your business so great? We can list those things. And those things can get you excited. Those things can get you fired up, right? But when I say to you, what is happening, worst case scenario, with the people who are being served by your competitors? What are the nightmares and the horror stories from your industry that you see happening all the time when somebody contracts with the wrong service company or the wrong person or the wrong business coach or the wrong whatever? And you see those things. Those are the nightmares that should be reminding you of why the responsibility is greater than you and your entity, right? It's greater. The responsibility is bigger and greater. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. If you cannot stand before me and tell me that you guys are the greatest at what you do, identify the steps that you need to take to be able to say that without any bit of hesitation. Identify those steps. Find your community. I would love for that to be Unleash You Now. If you guys aren't already a part of Unleash You Now, I would love for that to be Unleash You Now. But if it's not, find it. Find your people. Because what will happen is, as you go on these journeys of becoming the best, the right people will assist you on that journey, and the wrong people won't. The wrong people will take you down a different path, right? So make sure that you're putting yourself in the right position to meet the right people, to be in the right communities, because they will insulate your business like nothing else will. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.